Yo my people, welcome back to Bros Podcast. Me, Amaan. We got Shayaan, we got Roshaan, who's robbing my seat, and we got Zakir.
I'm good, man. How are you?
Chilling.
Let's get into this one.
Before we get into this, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell thing to be notified. Check Spotify if you prefer the audio, and check Monday episodes if you prefer the long ones.
Let's get into it.
Okay, so 10 man give the list. It was
Wait, tell them what we're doing, man.
Tell them what we're doing, man.
okay. We're doing the top 10 English players from the last decade. We're gonna base
2
it on-
decades since 2000.
Yeah, we're gonna do it based on like Premier League and national, like one, just English players and who's the best. So 10 man gave the list for it. It was Shayaan, Roshaan, me, Zakir, and then it was Jabba, Malik, Awais, Taf, Usi, and who else? Shaheen as well. Okay.
Shout out you, Donnies.
So you get 100 points, obviously, if everyone puts you first. And then 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. And what was that?
What?
Where did 12 thing come from?
Jeez. You should never do this again.
Okay, 18 people were selected in the total. 18 players. Yeah? So there are 2 players and 1 point.
Yeah, just do the first one. We talk about the
Does
first
anyone want
one.
to guess who they are?
Obviously, I know that.
I think it's gonna be
It's
Sol Campbell.
Sol Campbell. Yeah, he got 10th by. That's
Me,
Why?
because I think he's a very underrated England centre back. I say
He's a
bar
snake.
Terry and Ferdinand. He's England's best centre back since 2000. I think what he done with Arsenal was incredible, invincible. Scored in Champions League final for Tottenham, and you have to give him props for being a snake as well, innit? So that's why he had to sneak 10th in my list. But do you mind not rate him?
No.
No, not really.
Nah,
He's a good player, but he's not top 10.
I don't think he's a top 10.
I think he definitely makes like about top 15. I think top 10. No, I don't think so. But it's a good shout though. It's a good shout, definitely.
Because you
You
now have 3 centre backs on your top 10 English players. So you're saying England are like
And
producers of world class centre backs.
Yeah, I think the 3 I've put are world class. I think Sol Campbell is world class.
As well, yeah. Okay, and the second one, this guy's very underrated there, to be fair. 10th place by Usi himself, Marco Carrick.
Yeah. What he's accomplished in and what he's accomplished obviously in Premier League and English football, I think he's so underrated and underlooked. Because obviously when you talk about all the top caliber midfielders, you look at like Gerrard, Scholes, Lampard, all these like top tier players, but he never really gets looked into that conversation. Obviously he shouldn't be, but like he's so well rounded as a midfielder.
So do you think apart from them 3, he's England's best?
Yeah.
No.
Who would you say if it wasn't?
Midfielders?
Yeah, obviously you.
Okay, would you say Jordan Henderson?
I'll say Henderson's better.
Nah.
I'll say Henderson's better. Henderson's not bad.
I think Henderson's got a good engine on him, but I think like that's the only thing that I think he's got better than Carrick. But I think Carrick's like an all-rounded midfielder. Like he can dictate from deep. Basically. With obviously his skill sets and things like that, he's able to flourish at that United team, and he's done it for an abundance amount of years.
Yeah, he's definitely the best. Even as a CDM, there's no England player that was better than him during his time.
Debating for me.
Who? There was no one, you can't say
You
anyone.
just started.
As a DM. Okay. So there were 2 players that were selected that had 2 points. Yeah? They had 2 points. These were Jermaine Defoe.
Yeah, that's it.
He was
How is sharp on my boy Defoe?
Okay.
Oh, sorry.
Jermaine Defoe got selected 9th. Why? Shasta 1, 2, 3.
Me?
We all know Shazzy Smith. No, the senior.
I'm the senior.
You're the junior. The senior. I know Shazzy Smith senior. Loves him.
Jermaine
So he
Defoe.
recently retired.
Yeah, but there's so many English strikers that are probably ahead of him, so
A lot better.
I wouldn't
Let me see
consider him.
this.
You know, I always used to get
In the
him
top
and
10.
Aaron Lennon mixed up.
They don't even look the same.
Now we're like, cause like back in the day when I was like a kid, didn't really know people like that.
Still you now. Peace.
Oh, man.
Now he's a good striker though, 150 Prem goals.
I mean, she
he's
put,
ninth all time.
she put the vote over Harry Kane and Mark. Oh, not Mark. They put over Harry Kane.
It's about preference, isn't it? Like, I'm not saying Defoe's a winner, but he's more of a winner than Harry Kane. Harry Kane's a bagsman, yeah.
But it's other strikers. You got people like Andy Cole, Taylor Shayaan, maybe should have been on the list.
Taylor Shayaan got very underrated striker, bro.
Andy Cole, the main one, probably he's better than Jermaine Defoe.
I hear that still.
I heard it.
Yeah, when obviously like you make an argument for like who's the better player, like you don't really take trophies as like the main sort of like attribute as the individual, because like then you can say Ryan Bruce is better than Harry Kane because obviously he's got more trophies. So like you have to make sure like that you take it in a pinch of salt, because like you have to like use an array of like aspects within the game to make your obviously top 10 list.
Okay, so yeah, the second one was selected 9th by Robbie Fowler.
Of course he.
He did finish, he's got like 160 Prem goals for a G.
He's a Liverpool player.
Yeah, he's a Liverpool fan.
He's a Liverpool player. So should he be on the list?
No, yeah, you should.
He's
What's
a big
not what?
striker.
Yeah, he's a good striker.
Especially in the early 90s, he was dangerous. Next level.
I think he was.
I remember in what's it called? In one of the Wembley Cups, he's like 50 years old and he scored a sick goal.
It's a Wembley goal.
Ollie, he's got a free kick. Ollie's got a free kick. It was a sick free kick.
Okay, but why are you bringing up the Wembley goal?
Because Robbie Fowler was playing.
Yeah, but we're not talking about Spencer FC, man.
Yeah, but we're talking about Robbie Fowler. Robbie Fowler was playing it.
So that's what you're remembering. That's the first thing that comes to your head.
No,
The
it's
free kick at the Wembley
just
Cup.
because it was most recent. That's it. But nah, other than that, he's
Okay, so on 4 points after him was Gary Neville, selected 7th by Zakir.
Yeah, I think what he was able to achieve obviously at United for like the abundance amount of years, yeah, like he had so much success, and he's obviously considered one of the best right backs in Premier League history. So I think he has to make that top 10 list because he flourished in obviously United and obviously showed his capabilities within the England squad as well.
So let me ask you, you're the only person who picked him.
I was.
So do you not think
I
that's
would've put him
biased
11th.
or
Wait, you didn't even
you
put
think
him?
he's
I would've
everyone else
put him
underrated?
Thing is, if you look at like the England sort of right backs, like who has there been bar him that's been quite elite tier?
Cole Walker.
Yeah, but like has he been better than Neville?
No, I wouldn't say it.
I think he has.
Your choice.
Because there's obviously a debate between probably Walker and him. But if you look at all the sets of right backs, especially in the England setup, all the ones that are like happening, they're all happening like now, like your Trent, James, like these two will probably, if they can keep that consistency, will probably be above Neville if they keep that consistency though. So yeah.
Now Gary Neville would have been 11th on my list, but obviously he doesn't make the top 10, so
maybe a top 15.
can't be on it. Sorry, Gary. Next, we have 2 players on 8 points. The first one, who was selected by 1 player, Malik, in 3rd place, is Andy Cole.
Andy Cole.
Andy Cole, only one man selected him.
Ooh,
Yeah.
Big striker.
big striker to be fair.
He's the 3rd top scorer in Premier history, 187.
To be fair,
What?
In
I
3rd
know, and
place.
only one put him in the list. If I knew that, I would have put him in my list.
187 Prem goals.
Why did you put him in the list?
No, because the strikers are on my list, I think.
Now I'm not gonna lie, when I was doing mine, he was 11. He was the
Yeah.
last person I took out when
I
doing
would've
my-
put him
when
top
doing
10
my
for
team.
me.
No, because the 4 strikers on my list are Owen, Kane, Shearer, Rooney, and I think they're all better than Andy Cole.
I think you have to look at it in a combination of success because obviously the list says Premier League and English success because his was predominantly obviously Premier League success, wasn't it? So
and especially his time, there was obviously a lot of competition for strikers like Alan Shearer, Fowler, Sheringham, Owen. It's bare, man. Even like man like Christian and that still. So, but why? Oh, I think he's the next level. It's bare hard to compare. I think he's better than Owen, but Owen has a Ballon d'Or, which is hard. But I think he was more consistent for longer than Owen was.
I wouldn't say he's better than Owen.
I think Owen had, like, he had like good 5-6 seasons at Liverpool. Once he left Liverpool, he died.
Yeah, I think based on the whole career,
He died.
I think it was better.
That's what I'm saying.
But Michael Owen Jordan is
There's so many English
pioneers.
talents that you just can't to fixate it down to a top 10 is so difficult.
Yeah.
Because there's so many, because I'm looking at my top 10 now and looking at obviously the players that you mentioned. I've missed out some.
That's what I'm saying. I think Cole should be in my list, but then when I look at my list, it's hard to swap him for someone.
Exactly.
The second player, who was on 8 points, was selected by 4 players. Selected by Taf, Zakir in 10th, Awais in 9th, Shayaan in 7th. It was him Sterling.
Yeah, he's a top player.
Very
He
good.
just messed up to be.
If you look at after Kane, he's probably England's best attacking threat. Like, he's been really successful in that Euro 2020 spell that we had, and he's probably our best player, if in all honesty.
I think I seen somewhere in his first 40 games for England, he had 4 goals, and then in his last 30, he's had 20.
He's insane. He's got literally every attribute that England require. If there's a team that sets up in a low block, he'll try and use his obviously one-to-one ability to break that low block.
Guardiola's really shaped him into a proper elite finisher, because he's been doing it now for a number of years.
I think one thing that's made people respect him more was the last World Cup.
Euros.
Was it Euros?
Yeah, Euros.
Euros.
When he scored all the goals into
he
the semis.
I know England are a bad team and they were winning 1-0.
Yeah.
But he was scoring all them goals. He was carrying us for the whole way through.
It's because, when I see Kane, hopefully he proves me wrong at the World Cup this year, yeah. But when it comes to a major competition, he doesn't know. People can say he won Golden Boot the 2018 World Cup, he scored 6 goals and 3 were pens, yeah. Don't say he stepped up. Sterling fully stepped up at the Euros, and I respect him so much for it. He carried England.
He is an elite player, isn't he?
Yeah,
Sterling.
he's got the Prems. All he's missing is the Champions League and the international.
An international. He has been really unfortunate in the international setup because he has flourished really well. It's just now he needs to get that, and he'll probably be higher in that.
And he's
top
only
10 list.
25, 26,
He was
26.
28.
Yeah, I think he's into his late 20s. I think.
28,
So, look.
Who's Sterling?
Yeah.
So he's in late 20s.
I swear Sterling
28,
26.
No, he's not 27.
He is.
27, 28, 29, 29.
If this 4G works. Here we go. 27.
Yeah. It must be turning 28.
One.
Yeah, not 8th of December is his birthday.
Yeah,
So yeah,
Yeah, so
27.
not that far. So he just turned 27.
yeah, so now he's in his prime years, isn't it?
Yeah.
These are the times he needs to step up.
Very good player.
Okay, next on the list is he was selected by he was in 11th place. This is the guy who just missed out.
Okay.
Missed out on it by 3 points.
Yeah.
He was selected 7th by me. Shayaan had him in 4th. Malik voted him as number 1,
1.
and he wasn't in the list. Top goal scorer in Premier League history, Alan Shearer.
Oh, he missed out.
The fact that only 3 people picked him is kind of mad.
So why did you
That's
two not pick
Alan
and I
Shearer.
didn't pick him.
Yeah, I didn't pick him because, I was looking at, literally overall, England players, from all different positions, and I really didn't think about that. Obviously, elite tier strikers, because England did create kind of a good amount of strikers, and I've actually forgotten he's actually a top tier striker. If you look at how many goals he's able to amount to, which was 260,
2-6, yeah.
insane. And considering the service that he was getting as well, remember,
He was actually in Newcastle and Blackburn, and he hit that.
when the
insane.
Prem was with?
Imagine he was at United. He went to United in that time, and he had prime scores and Keane and that.
That's it. And when we're talking about that, he's probably top 5 Premier League strikers if you look at it.
And what people don't know is Shearer had years playing in the first division before the Prem. If you add them goals to his Prem goals, I think he's got 320
Insane Prem.
league goals.
He's insane. That's actually one that I totally forgot.
So would you say in the last 20, even 30 years,
Yeah.
he is the best finisher England has produced? Just pure finisher.
I think you got to look at
conversion
rate and efficiency. You have to go proper deep into those sort of stats.
I think in his 260 games he's played about 450.
That's good.
Because if we're looking at who the best finisher is,
I wouldn't say he's the best finisher. I'll say he's the best goal scorer because he can do it so many different ways. He's good with his head, he's good in the box,
Yeah,
good outside the
variance.
box, he's good with the volley, he's good with both feet. but I
Yeah,
don't think you could say he's the best finisher.
Who would you say then?
probably it's
You
difficult.
got Harry Kane up there, man.
If you look
Harry
at,
Kane is very, very.
I
Harry
think
Kane's too good
a
at
good thing that you always put into debates is obviously like goals to game ratio, where you put them at the same
Yeah.
playing field, because then you can actually see who's got a better goals to game ratio between
That's why
them two.
Shearer has the record for quickest to 100 goals. 100 goals in 124 games.
Yeah.
Kane, I think, with just missed out, is like 130 games or something, which is still sick. 100 goals in 124 games at Blackburn Rovers. Elite.
And then obviously, like when you put that goals to game ratio, you have to put a good sample size as well, because obviously, like I think Kane needs to play a bit more games to have that like sort of very similar sample size. Because one's had like like you mentioned, 450 games. Harry Kane's probably had like 200 and
Well, he's on 178 goals.
in how many games?
So
So probably just under 300.
Yeah, so the sample size is actually pretty good right now because it's very similar because they both played in an abundance amount of games. So
What the interviews reckon you would overtake Shearer?
I think he will if he stays in the Prem.
He's about 80. But if he goes to City,
Yeah,
I
it's
think he'll
right.
do within 4
But
or
he's
5
80, I
seasons.
thought he's closer. Man.
Yeah,
He's got about one. I think he just overtook Lampard.
Do you think it's like 100% he's going to be at least second?
should be top three.
A million
Top three.
percent second.
Yeah.
He probably hit second next season. If he's on 178, Rooney's on 208, so he's 30 goals away from Rooney. As
That's achievable.
100% 2 seasons he will hit that. And then whether he goes to get Shearer, that's a different story.
That's
That's
it.
still 52 away.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So now you're moving on to the joint list, then.
Top 10.
And
Let's
this
do
is
it.
time for me to say goodbye because I'm going.
What? You need it.
Right, take care of
Tell
yourself.
me fun.
Oh,
Bye bye.
come on, honey.
Like Messi. Getting on to the top 10. What do you think?
Let's go. That's top 10.
Where's the list sheet? Okay. In 10th place, 24 points. Just 3 ahead of Shearer is the man we were just speaking about, Mr. Harry Kane. So he was selected by everyone apart from one person, and that was me.
Really? You didn't think he was top 10?
So Jabba and Sheem had him 10, Malik Zakir had him 9, Awais, Roshaan, Shayaan 8, Usi 7, Tough 6. So everyone had him in the bottom half, but obviously he's the only current player in the top 10, so he's still got a lot of time.
He's a top quality striker. Like he's literally like the complete striker right now in the Premier League. Like if you look at all the top players, like the realistic one that you can compare him to is obviously Benzema, because Benzema has that sort of skill set as well to hit a similar style job to what Kane does. And I think Kane has so many assets to his game which makes him such an elite tier striker, you know, a linking up play, dictating within the final third, making clever runs inside the box. He's got such a high level footballing IQ, which makes him such an astonishing footballer, and that's why he's probably like, if you look at it, top 3 strikers in the world right now, him, Lewandowski and Benzema.
Okay, Shayaan, let me ask you. Kane has, I think, 48 goals for England right now in like 67 games. Mad record, but he's got, I think, 2 against Germany, 2 against France, 2 against Croatia, and maybe 1 against Poland, and then the rest are just Montenegro and that. So how come you don't think it's worked for him when it comes to England? You know, he went to a final, lost, went to the semis of the World Cup, lost, 2016 Euros, Iceland, don't talk about that. So how come you think it hasn't worked for him for England so
I
far?
feel like that's just how like some people are, if you think about it. Like if you look at people like Messi, Argentina hasn't really worked out for him apart from Copa America.
But look at the team Argentina have had compared to the team England have. Maybe I'm biased, but I think England's team, especially the team we have now, is one of the best in the world.
Yeah, we're definitely one of the favourites if you look at the squad that we're obviously going to take in the World Cup. I just feel like sometimes it hasn't worked out for Kane, because sometimes it might just be a team performance. He might have played bad in the day, but then you've got other players that may have had not as a good performance as well. So it's like a collective, isn't it? Because
But even for Tottenham, He's been to League Cup finals, Champions League finals, Premier League title runs, and he hasn't stepped up.
Sometimes it might not even just be him, because you can't rely on one person to get the job done. It's a collective like team performance.
But that's when the elite comes.
Like it's difficult because like with obviously let's say Man City, you've got an abundance amount of elite players. Like at Tottenham, realistically, is there any like elite tier players bar Kane and Son?
Yeah, but don't you think? Say for example, he wants to be in the names of the Lewandowskis and the Benzemas, but as you've seen recently, Benzema's hit a hat-trick against Chelsea. Don't talk about that. Hat-trick against Bayern. I mean, not Bayern, PSG.
Yeah.
Lewandowski's been killing it, should have had Ballon d'Or by now.
Yeah, but like, I'm not saying they're bad players, but look at the team they're in.
Yeah, the service is completely different, to be honest.
Lewandowski's in Bayern, one of the best teams. Benzema's in one of the best teams.
So does Kane need to leave?
Yeah, 100%. I think we'll truly see Kane's playing ability when he's in a top tier side. I think, and then if we see that sort of like what you're mentioning, losing in World Cup finals and going on a bad run of form, then we can definitely consider that has to work on those issues.
Okay, we'll see. So the next player, 9th place, just 1 point ahead with 25. We have Michael Owen. 6 people picked him. 9th by Roshaan and Taff. Me and Jabba had him 8th. Shayaan had him 5th. Shaheem had him 2nd.
Do you think that was definitely biased? Because obviously he's a great player though to watch. Like he had everything to his game. Pace, power, making those clever runs. He had, and he'd done it for like a consistent amount of years at Liverpool. Like really fun to watch. I like, again, when you talk about these like England players, like I missed them out in obviously my top 10. But there's like so many names that England have produced. Some have flourished and some unfortunately sometimes don't make the cut.
That's what I'm saying. Man's like Teddy Sheringham ain't even been mentioned.
Crazy, isn't it? It's so difficult because you have to like you mentioned, fixate it to a top 10.
Yeah, there's too many.
Exactly, because like you chop and change whenever you do like your World 11s, Premier League 11s, because you like idolize and prefer these players more as you watch them more based on.
That's what I'm saying.
Games
that's why
highlights.
Shaheem's got Owen so high.
Yeah.
But Owen has a Ballon d'Or.
Yeah, man, that's pretty impressive to be fair.
Oh.
And he's played in a great some great teams. Obviously later to his stage he wasn't as good when he was playing obviously at United and things. Then you had obviously his Liverpool career, Real Madrid career. He's played some good sides. A very interesting pick. Like another player like Alan Shearer, where I'm still I completely forgot about him.
So 8 points ahead with 33 in 8th place.
Yeah.
We have Rio Ferdinand.
What a player.
He was selected by 7 people. So Shaheem, you didn't pick him.
I didn't pick him.
He was selected in 9th place by Jabba. Malik had him 8th. 7th by me and Awais. Taff had him 5th. With Roshaan and Usi both having him 4th.
Oh my god, I didn't
You
pick
left
him.
out Rio.
Oh my god. I completely forgot about Rio. He would definitely be in my top 10 now. Obviously now the names have been obviously selected. Oh my god, I completely forgot about Rio. Yeah, Rio has to make this list.
100% for me.
If I look at my list, like original list, I'd probably take out a name that I've obviously put in there. Man, I forgot so much about Rio. That's embarrassing. That is actually really embarrassing.
Shayaan, tell us about Rio, man.
I don't really know who's like that.
Okay, tell me about Rio, man.
Like defensively amazing. Like he used to brush up things really well. Like that's why he was probably the better out of the two of Vidic and himself, because like he was just defensive. IQ was much better than obviously Vidic's, because Vidic would go for these like rash challenges and then he would obviously sweep up. And like he was good at the ball at his feet. He was able to break lines of the midfield. A very clever player, and even Roy Keane, mentioned that he improved his game because, like, when he was at Leeds, he was just doing side passes.
Yeah.
And what Roy Keane wanted to do was actually make him break lines and like put passes up forward rather than always side to side. and obviously that elevated his game and made him such a top tier centre back, and probably made him. Right now, it's him and obviously Terry. That's always the debate in the top tier centre backs in the Prem.
Oh, I can't believe you left that. Really?
Oh no, man, that's embarrassing. That's actually embarrassing. That's actually really shocking.
So 1 point ahead with 34. We have England's greatest ever left back, undoubtedly, and arguably one of the best of all time. In 7th place, we have Ashley Cole.
Where did I put him? I put him in 6th.
He was selected by 8 people. Malik and Usi didn't pick him. So 10th by away, Shaim and Taf 8th, Shayaan 7th, Zakir 6th, Jabba and with me, Jabba and Roshaan put him 5th.
I think Ashley Cole is, in my opinion, the best left back of all time. I like
Big shout.
even like the thing is, you have to look at him as like the balance of both. Great defensively and great going up. You know, he had the IQ. His football IQ is amazing. Like he was able to do everything, and that's why I feel like he's better than like the Carloses and the Marcelos, because I feel like defensively they weren't as good. Maybe attacking they were better than Cole, but Cole provides the balance. And I always put him in my Premier League all-time 11, and I also put him in my obviously World 11 as well, because you know what he's accomplished obviously at Chelsea as well and at Arsenal.
Yeah.
Top tier.
Was he in trouble running too? Was he in trouble running too?
Who? He never played for United.
No, I mean,
He was an invincible.
Yeah,
He won the Champions League and Prem with Chelsea.
Yeah, very, very good. You know, and like, I think obviously when you look at the left backs, you know, when people talk about Robertson and people like that having obviously more assists than him, sometimes assists weren't looked as much in that era of football because he used to do obviously the pre-assist sort of things, like linking up play within the final third.
Yeah, he was very good.
You know, breaking up play in the defensive section of the game.
And especially at Chelsea, who was such a defensive unit that the defense didn't attack that much. Like obviously Ivanovic and Cole and Terry picked out with goals, but it was mainly the attack. Chelsea just sat back the Mourinho system, as man's know.
Exactly. So yeah, I think he's a top tier left back, man. Definitely in this top 10. Like he's easily the England's best left back. There.
Yes, you know, when we look at obviously England right now are producing amazing right backs, and then when you look at the other side, like no offense to Shaw and Chilwell, but they ain't at the level of the right backs, nowhere near the level of Cole. So do you see any up and coming left backs, or do you think England can get another Cole?
I think, do you know what? I think Chilwell just needs a string of games to actually get used to the England format, because I think he'll flourish as an obviously because obviously he does really well at Chelsea and they've missed him daily.
Very, very much.
Yeah, because like he had that string of form where he was actually playing really well, wasn't he? So like I think if he can get that string amount of games in England and Southgate can find a way to mould him into his system, he'll flourish in
The
it.
thing with Southgate, there's players he prefers, and he still keeps picking them, like Maguire and Shaw and like Declan Rice and like Calvin Phillips. So I think he won't give him a run again. I hope I'm wrong. We see at the World Cup, because Chilwell obviously has been out from nearly the whole season, so hopefully he comes back stronger.
When we look at obviously Maguire and Shaw, the reason why they don't drop off the England obviously system is because they do so well in obviously the England system. Obviously compared to what they do in the Premier League, they're not at their best form as you've obviously seen. But if you look at how they play in the obviously when they play with England, they play really well. And to be honest, do you rarely see them get a foot wrong? That's where you got to look at it in that sense as well.
Okay, so on 38 points, we have a former England captain who scored that free kick against Greece 2001, sent England to 2002 FIFA World Cup finals. We have in 6th place David Beckham.
Oh.
Yeah, man. Like when we were kids, I think this is what makes him into a top 10 as well. Obviously, he's accomplished so much throughout his whole career at Real Madrid, obviously the Man United and things like that, right? But like, if you talk about like iconic moments, he's given those iconic moments. Like, if you remember that free kick, that free kick was like one of England's biggest icon moments, because it was just so iconic. People will remember that free kick for years.
Yeah.
And you know, he gave us those moments, and like sometimes that's why people might actually be England fans, because of that one moment that he was able to produce.
And 1999 Ballon d'Or runner-up, so you can see in his prime how good he was, especially at United. Like he's got, I've seen recently they're debating who's the better passer and crosser, Beckham or Trent.
Yeah, I've seen that one. It's so difficult because like you can't overlook what Trent's done, because like look at the ability that he's able to spray passes.
Next level.
Like, but I don't like this narrative of him playing in midfield, because you have to have a different type of skill set in order to play midfield. Because to be honest, as a midfield, he has to look over his shoulder. He has to scan the whole field rather than just a section when he's at right back. So it's a whole different playing field when they're like, let's put him in midfield, let's see how he works there. Because I don't think he'll flourish as a midfielder. I think just keep him at his position, and look, he does perfectly well, doesn't he?
Sean, who do you think is the better passer?
I think Trent. I'm not saying he's a bad passer, but I feel like the fact that he overdoes it a little bit, that might boost it a bit for him. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So you think he over crosses but gets the assist, and that's why he's better?
Yeah.
Interesting.
So getting on to top 5. In 5th place, 44 points, the highest defender on this list, and in the centre back video, we've heard him as the best Premier League centre back of all time. John Terry, my boy. So he was selected by 7 people. Roshaan, Shayaan, and Taff all didn't pick him. They all hate them 3. They hate John Terry.
Okay, that's probably why then.
So Shayaan put him 9. He was sad. Malik 7. Jabba and Awais in 6th place. Zakir and Usi both put him 2nd. And I put him number 1. My boy.
Now, what he's accomplished at Chelsea was something that was just unbelievable. Like if we take that 04-05 season especially, like conceding 15 goals, like will you ever see a club concede that many goals? Like, and then obviously when we talk about how good.
Alright, the phone dropped again. Technical difficult. When I say drop, this episode will come out before the Alright, John Terry, my boy.
Yeah, so obviously going back to what I was saying, like he's just everything that you need in a centre back. Someone that's good with the ball at their feet, someone that can spray passes and break lines of the opposition, defensively aware as well, and that's why he's up there with obviously the best Premier League centre back of all time, and he has to make this.
Okay, so let me get. Were you on the Tough Centre Back podcast? Because we had Tough on and we were doing centre backs, and he's obviously John Terry here, Tough. So he was saying like, what is John Terry good at? He's saying pace, Van Dijk is faster, strength, Ferdinand is stronger, Vidic is stronger, passing, Ferdinand is better. So what is he the best at? What makes him the best?
The thing is, you don't have to be the best at one particular part of the game as a defender. If you're collectively elite at all those sort of attributes, that's what makes you an elite tier centre back, and that's what makes him an elite tier centre back.
So what makes him better than the Ferdinands and the Vidics and the...
In my opinion, he's better at the ball at his feet because he's both footed.
Yeah.
He just has a skill set that's better than Ferdinand's. And it's not like I love Ferdinand. I'm a United fan, as you know, but sometimes you got to be have an unbiased opinion. It's like you don't base a footballer's opinion on if you like them or not as a human being. It's
Yo man, we're sorry again, man. The phone keeps dropping. I don't know. I need to get a new tripod. I think it wants us to stop talking about John Terry. So
yeah, let's slowly move on. But yeah,
we're going to the next player. In 4th place, jumping up 20 points to 64, we have John Terry's former long-term teammate and the Premier League's highest goal-scoring midfielder, Frank Lampard.
That's cool.
So he was selected in 10th by Roshaan, Malik, Shayaan, and Usi had him 6th.
10th.
Zakir had him... No, Usi had him 9th. 9th or 6th, I can't see.
Mhm.
Zakir 6th, Awais 4th, Jabba 3rd, Shayaan and Taf and me all had him 2nd.
I think obviously with the debate with the Lampard is always going to be that Scholes, Gerrard, Lampard, but
100%.
they're all different type. They're all different type of players. One's a 10, one's an 8, and one was probably more as an 8/6.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like Lampard was looked at for like the advanced 10 who was basically assisting and goal scoring. Yeah. That's what he had in abundance, and that's why he's one of your top goal scorers.
He is the top.
That was for Chelsea. Wow. So that even like suggests like that he played higher up the field compared to the other two, right?
Yeah.
Then you take obviously Gerrard, who's like got the complete package, like engine, has the shot, has great passing range. You can pretty much do everything, yeah, as a midfielder. And then obviously you got the controller, the one who like dictates the tempo of the game, who is obviously Scholes. And it's always going to be a debate with them three, but Lampard has to make this top 10 because when you look at like the top 3 English midfielders, like those are always talked about, ain't they? And yeah, that's why he was in my top 10.
So, Shayaan, this is Lampard. Obviously, we ain't said the other two man, suggesting that he is the lowest out of the 3.
Yeah.
So, what do you think that is?
I don't
Obviously, we did the sentiment video, he was number 1.
So I don't get how that works.
Obviously, we have different people in it.
Oh.
But I'm saying, how come you think these group of people don't rate Lampard as highly as the other two?
I don't know how you could like, especially you said how many people put him 10th. That's like.
Yeah, 3 man at in turn.
Like if you're gonna say he's worse than them, he's not that much worse than them. He's right next. All 3 of them are close. One's not 2nd, 5th, and then 10th. It's not like that. It's like 2nd, 3rd, 4th. So if you're putting him 10th, that's just.
There's 2 things which I want to talk about Lampard, which are really underrated, and that's his defensive work. Like what he was able to put shifting off the ball
definitely.
was a great thing that was obviously for Chelsea when obviously he was under Mourinho and stuff. And the second thing that is really underrated is obviously like looking at his age and how he grew up as a man at 23 years old. Because if you look at the 23-year-olds like right now in football, sometimes they don't even act as professionals, and he acted like a man, and you know that's why Mourinho liked him so much, because he like had that maturity and the ability to flourish at Chelsea.
One elite midfielder, man.
Indeed.
So just 3 points ahead on 67, we have one of the greatest midfielders of all time, according to Roshaan, in 3rd. Wait, no, one of the greatest midfielders of all time, according to Roshaan. So in 3rd place, we have Paul Scholes. So he was selected in 8th by Usi. Me and Shayaan had him 6th. Malik, Shaheem and you had him 4th. Taf had him 3rd. Jabba, Awais and Roshaan had him 2nd.
I always have this debate with a load of people with regards to him and Gerrard, because I feel like it's always those two that are either going to be 1 or 2, and then obviously Lampard 3rd. But like, I don't think Man United have ever had like a midfielder after that Scholes and Carrick era where they could dictate the tempo, break lines.
You don't think Pogba can do that?
The thing is, like, Pogba can do it, but he's not being able to show it, because obviously like the position that he plays in, sometimes it's just like consistency as well. Like with Carrick and Scholes, they were able to consistently do it, and like they were able to break lines, and their passing range was unbelievable as well, and their like IQ of the game was astonishing, and like the ability to like scan the pitch as well. And like if you've seen obviously some of the passes that Scholes did within his career, and like how he was able to control the tempo within the midfield. Like,
do you think he had an advantage being in one team his whole career, in one system his whole career, under one manager his whole career?
The thing is, you could say that with like a lot of players,
but if you look at say Terry and Lampard at Chelsea, they went through a lot of different managers, different systems. Gerrard at Liverpool, even though he was there pretty much his whole career, different managers, different systems. Scholes had one manager and one system his whole career.
I understand where you're coming from, but then you could say that for like a lot of players. Like it's difficult to use that as like a like a metric in essence. I just feel like when you look at Scholes, like he's just so underlooked, because obviously everyone talks about your Xavis and Iniestas and things like that, yeah, but when you look at Scholes, like what he was able to offer at United, that's why he was obviously United midfielder for an X amount of years, because if he wasn't good, he would have been like on the bench, yeah. So, you know, he's an elite tier midfielder. Like, I love the way that he played and what he accomplished for United, and I don't think like we haven't seen it a United player that can progress the ball so well whilst also being good defensively at the same time, which he had obviously the combination of both, and that's hopefully what United need to look for now, because if you look obviously United players, there's no one that has good ball progression and is defensively sound. So yeah.
Shayaan, I'm guessing you think Lampard's better.
Yeah.
Why?
Just I don't know, like Lampard, his stats are better. Like I didn't really like watch like the game proper, so I have to base it more off stats and stuff like that. Scores obviously, trophies and that, but when you're in a team like United, they're not that like sick when you're in a team like that.
So what are you trying to say? He's like a system player?
Yeah.
I think, yeah, like it's really difficult to always have that debate between them three, like I mentioned, because they're all different types of players. I think you have to base it on how effective they are within their teams, and Scholes was considerably, in my opinion, he was more effective than what Lampard was at Chelsea.
So in second place, 11 points ahead of Scholes.
Yeah.
78, we have the last of the three, Steven Gerrard. He was selected in 5th by Malik. Jabba and Tuff had him 4th. Me, Awais, Roshaan, Shaheem, Shayaan and Zakir all had him 3rd, with Usi putting in number 1. So when you look at, say, Lampard had 1 man put him 10, 3 man put him 9, you put him 6, so that's 5 man put him in the bottom half. Scholes had a man put him 8th, me and Shayaan put him 6th, that's 3 man. Everyone picked him and everyone had him top 5.
Gerrard,
yeah,
like he just has the whole package as a midfielder, and that's why like I always have that debate on who do I prefer, Scholes or Gerrard, because it's just like such a hard one to pick. I think considering the teams that he was playing for, Gerrard, and how well he was doing, like that's like another thing that you have to put
why a lot of people say like
debate.
Gerrard was in one of Liverpool's worst, like
weaker side, didn't it? Yeah.
Compared to the 80s and 90s, and for him to still be shining shows his, you know.
If you look at his Premier League, obviously he didn't accomplish any trophies or anything, but he, like, what he was able to achieve with that obviously Liverpool team, like getting very close, was obviously just unfortunate. But then if you look at like the Champions League success, like if you remember obviously that comeback when we talk about the AC Milan, like that goes down like one of the most iconic Liverpool moments, and he'll be like well known for that, you know. And then, you know, he's just like, he has the all round package of a midfielder. That's why he was like, in my opinion, higher than Scholes, because he just molds into this midfielder that has like an array of traits which just made Liverpool flourish in that Champions League as well. It's just unfortunate that.
Shayaan, how come you think Gerrard's first?
First?
Like out of the three?
I don't.
No, I'm saying, how come you think people will pick him?
I'm not sure.
And you gotta understand as well, he was in the weaker side, wasn't he? Of Lampard and Gerrard. That's another massive.
Like I said in the sentiment video, Mourinho tried to buy him multiple times.
So loyal, wasn't he?
So imagine if there was a Chelsea midfield of him and Lampard with Makelele holding.
That, you know what? That would be a beautiful midfield, because you've got someone that can break up the play, someone that can do the engine work, which is obviously Gerrard, and then you got your advanced 10 in Lampard, who can do all the creation and get the goals and assists. That would have been a banging midfield.
So first place, 16 points ahead of second, Steven Gerrard. So clear number 1, 94 out of 100. We have Man United and England's record goal scorer, Wayne Rooney. So he was selected 4th by me. Usi put him 3rd. Malik put him second. Jabba, Awais, Roshaan, Shaheem, Shayaan, Tuff and Zakir all put him 1. So out of the 10 man, 7 put him number 1. So Shayaan, I'll start with you, yeah? What is that?
Obviously, we all know Rooney is a baller. He's one of the top goal scorers. But the downside to I feel like he retired a bit early. Like he left a bit early.
Like 34, 35.
Yeah, he left Man U. When did he leave Man U?
Like 2017, 18.
Like he had a few more years left in him, I think.
What do you think?
Like, I've got so much to say about Rooney. He's just like, I'm gonna have to try and cut it down as much as possible. But like, look, if he was one of my favourite players to watch, he was like a footballing hero. Yeah. Like, if we talk about his Premier League success, he's second in all-time goals. He's obviously Man United's top scorer.
100 plus Premier League assists as well.
Yeah, England's top scorer as well. That's why, like, when we talk about England, England's top 10, he has to make number 1 because he's accomplished so much within both respects.
Yeah.
And then obviously, like, his versatility, his passion, his consistency made him such a beautiful player, so hard-working. He really wanted to accomplish so much at United as well, which he did. You know, he just has that raw ability as well. It's just like, he was so talented. And then obviously, if he didn't get injured in that Euros, I reckon we would have advanced and actually won that Euros. He obviously got injured at a point, which wasn't obviously good for the squad, and then obviously we didn't advance from there. So, you know, if he didn't get injured, I reckon we would have won the Euros and we would have had an actual trophy, because he was one of the leading players that was playing so good within the string amount of games.
He was in his prime as well, and all the other men were there as well. Gerrard, Lampard.
That's it. And it was just so unfortunate that happened. But like, if you just look at his like work ethic, I think he was just an outstanding player. And like, everyone remembers, like, obviously Skinhead Rooney as well. Like, that was like the goated Rooney as well. So, you know, he's produced so many iconic moments. Like, such a talented 18-year-old footballer. Like, 16, I think it was at, you know, Everton when he broke the scenes against that goal against Arsenal. That's it. So, yeah, easily for me has to be number 1. And
so, what do you think of the overall list?
I'm actually shocked because there was so many players that were missed, especially that Rio one. That was terrible. I can't believe I forgot Rio. But yeah, it's such a hard list, like we mentioned, because there's so many good English talents. I think we talk about obviously the club game. They've all accomplished really well, the ones that we've chosen. But like, I think in the obviously national game, they weren't able to accomplish as much. So that's why we obviously took their sort of club form over the national form, which obviously, like, you can look at the list.
I'll ask you both one last question. Shayaan, I'll start with you. Say in the next 10 years, who do you think would be on this list?
Foden's got to be there.
You think in 10 years Foden will be on this list?
Yeah, I think he would.
When you look at the joint list, Rooney, Gerrard, Scholes, Lampard, Terry, Beckham, Cole, Ferdinand, Owen, Harry Kane. Who do you think Phil Foden takes? Whose spot does he take?
I'm not sure, it depends. You have to see where he goes, isn't it?
What, just Foden?
Nah, Sterling, I think. Once he retires, he'll get a lot more respect as well.
What do you think?
I think in terms of top 10, I can only think of really one or two players which I think will make the top 10, which will probably be Bellingham, because I think just how elite he is right now, and the maturity that he's got, and the skill sets that he provides, obviously, and what he will do in the World Cup, I think he needs to start more games. And I think, obviously, if you can show that profile within the English game, and obviously can be successful in obviously club form as well, I think he has to make that top 10 Bellingham, man. I think he's just such a talented player, and yeah, I think, in my opinion, he might get into that top 10. And someone else, obviously, as I mentioned too, I think Trent is probably most likely going to get into that top 10 England players. Because look what he's obviously accomplished so far. All he needs now, to be honest, is like a national trophy, and then he's pretty much accomplished a Prem, a Champions League, and that's it.
So we're gonna end it there. Let us know if you guys enjoyed it. We thought we'd do a different top 10. Maybe do a different nation next time. So make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Hit the bell thing to be notified. Check Spotify for the audio. Check Monday episodes for the main ones. And yeah, we're out. Peace.
Peace.